So these women at the mid-level will soon become chief editors, so the glass ceiling will break. But we all have to carry our gender lens with us. We shouldn't leave behind our gender lens. So this is something our committee in the next should also include, that when women run for office, at least the women who cover the stories should make sure that it's a better environment for women running for office. I'm done. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ela. That was really very good, because I think you gave fresh perspectives. And I think the question about women journalists covering women, encouraging women in politics, that's very important, because poor coverage in politics and salacious rumors and all that really ruins a woman's interest in politics. Now, may I request Ms. Kesang Dema, Press Secretary to the Prime Minister of Bhutan, and also founder member as far as our work in Women in Media is concerned. She and Kesang Tuki Georgie have been really founding members of this work. So I give you the floor.
Yeah. Thank you, Vinaji, for a wonderful intro. Just as an information earlier, as a journalist, in chasing the stories, I used to fight with government officials. Now I work for the government and I fight with journalists to prevent stories from going out. That's to bring you back to the presentation here. Okay, just last week we had this photograph on Facebook, being circulated. It was of one of our colleagues in print media. She had her baby on the lap, and in front of her there was a laptop open, and she was, you could tell that she was filing in a story, and it was in the newsroom setting, and pretty late night. So that photograph was being circulated among the media colleagues that back home in Bhutan. Now, what I'm trying to say is this was the similar image we had some decade ago, and that is also probably the reason why some of us, even Kinle there, that's also the reason why some of us opted to do other things related to media, beyond the mainstream. My point here is things have not changed. Challenges are the same, and over the years, over the decades, we have been talking a lot, having scores of meetings, all the kinds of studies and researches that we were doing, and yet the scenario is the same. Now, the baseline survey that we have, and which my colleague Samten elaborated earlier, reinforces this scenario. And it goes to show that there are still challenges, and there are in fact additional challenges women are expected to overcome. So looking ahead, we are really sincerely, genuinely hoping that this project will take us beyond. Because for Bhutan, the study that we have done so far, gives us a very clear picture of the media scenario, and particularly women participation and the role they play. It is a mine of information that was not available anywhere so far. Therefore, we have to, at this stage, start considering how do we disseminate this information that we have put together? How do we make use of the data? How do we get the government to respond to the findings? How do we put it into practice? Yes, we have to delve deeper, and we still need to carry out content analysis, focus group discussion, and yes, we also have to cover the advertising and entertainment components. On our part, we are very clear. We are willing to explore ways to take this project forward, make it more meaningful, but of course with support of Vinaji, guidance of the advisors, of course. We need to do that. But again, yes, all of us need to be as committed, as passionate about this initiative. The last 4 years, as Vinaji pointed out earlier, has been about planning, coordinating, information gathering, compiling data. This is where we are at this stage. But now, in the coming months and years, we look forward to sharing the details with relevant agencies. We will work towards seeking intervention. It is really time for implementation. But again, now as a piece of good news, I think it cannot be more timely for Bhutan, because we have a new government in place right now. And yes, I work as a press secretary to the Prime Minister, but then I also say that, I could be representing media in the government. That is one way to look at it. That's why, and I can also say that the government is receptive and willing to improve and strengthen media. But government is also of the opinion that media representatives should come forward, with suggestions to improve the media and the media scenario that we were discussing. And in all this initiative that we have here in front of us can serve the purpose in a very big way. So yes, things look good for us, but while we are at this stage, as I conclude on a little positive note, the newsroom where the journalist took her baby in was smoke-free for one day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kesang. I think it's wonderfully encouraging, and I think in the position you're in now, in the Prime Minister's office, we will count on your support, because we need for governments to support this idea at first in principle, and then on specific policy recommendations. So we definitely count on your support for that. And now request Tareen Hussain from Bangladesh at the Delhi Ittifaq to please say a few.
Thanks, Veena, and thanks for including me in this delegation of such esteemed journalists and policymakers. I run an online news portal in Bangladesh, and I manage the news online. And managing news online basically means that you're very much dependent on social media to reach out to your readership. Unfortunately, social media has gained a bit of a bad reputation because people like to equate it to Facebook and fake news, irresponsible journalism, which has led to the buzzword of fake news. But that does not change the fact that the majority of the population of the world wake up and first thing in the morning reach out for their smartphones to check for the news on social media. And as our colleague from the Maldives pointed out, which is very important in our newsroom, when the head of the state, be it Bangladesh, United States, and especially India, when any head of state gives an official statement, we automatically first turn to their, and I would like to highlight, their verified Twitter and Facebook page. So that's very important to look out for that blue tick. I would like to share my experience, and I'll be very brief, Veena. I don't have that much research. I'm not a researcher or a policymaker, as I pointed out, but in the few short years that I do have experience working online, I personally believe that the next big push towards the empowerment of women will come through social media. We have seen the hashtag #MeToo movement go viral online and become a global phenomenon thanks to social media. Social media was the platform for the #MeToo movement as a very simple way to express solidarity with victims of sexual harassment and abuse and bringing light to the remarkable power imbalance that still exists between men and women today in our society. In Bangladesh, the manner in which women's presence is exploding on social media, during recent cases we have seen the death of the madrasa girl, Nusrat Jahan Rafi, who was burned to death for reporting sexual harassment against her, and the enormous impact that social media had on her case. Now you can be wondering how many people actually have access to social media and online. The numbers of Bangladesh are staggering. Bangladesh is the 9th largest mobile market in the world. The total number of mobile subscribers as of 2019 is 156 million. The number of internet users as of 2018 is 90 million, and these numbers are growing rapidly. As of 2018, 81 million people are mobile phone internet users in Bangladesh. Bangladesh also has the fastest growing Facebook users in the world. This technology is rapidly changing the consumption of media, and thanks to this data consumption growth and also the growth to 5G. Now, we all know that Bangladesh scores very high when it comes to women's participation in the public arena, and also to the long queues that we see on election day. Women they line up to vote very festively in Bangladesh. But these are the same women that we see. They tend to shy away when it comes to expressing their opinions in public and participating in public debates. However, there's a silent movement taking place online. And this silent change is sweeping across the country, with social media becoming an important aspect especially when it comes to women who are living in the urban and semi-urban areas who have access to internet and smartphones. This trend is not only encouraging, but it also raises hope for an equitable society. I'm going to kind of skip through my notes because I know we're pressed for time. I'm just going to quickly tell you that given that the urban-rural divide in a country like Bangladesh is now a phenomenon of social media, that we hope that the rural will follow. And we're very positive on this because the Bangladesh government is working very hard on its mission of digital Bangladesh and taking the internet to the most remote corners of the country. So there is very little doubt that social media is likely to go rapidly in our country in the next coming years. And I think that the impact of this will be more positive than negative.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tareen. I think it's very valuable. Thank you very much for bringing those points. I think we're going to count on you to help us with analyzing the impact of women in social media.
I'll just quickly share an anecdote. My boss at work is always telling me to get off my phone, and he doesn't believe that I'm working.
Yeah, well, that's inevitable. But I think that this is very important because we need to take into account how social media can play a role, and women online is really something fantastic. So it should influence a lot of policies, including advertising policies and, you know, some of the very ill-intentioned stuff that comes on social media. But thank you for highlighting this, and we really are going to bring you into the project on this. I think Mr. Ratan Kumar Roy will do that. And now may I request Ms. Yashoda Timsina to say a few words. She is the information, very quickly. Huh? She's the Information Commissioner, the National Information Commission of Nepal. You have the floor.
Nowadays, I became in front of the podium, so I can sit over there. Respected Chair, panelist friend, Honorable Minister from Bhutan and Maldives. Many dignitaries are there, I've seen. Mr. former Election Chief Commissioner of India, Mr. Dr. Qureshi, and other people, SIDA Committee Vice Chair Bandana Rana, and many more are respected people are sitting there. So, namaste for all of you. Binaji, my time is 5 minutes, no? 4 minutes is enough for me, and 1 minute for my colleagues. This is the era of digital, and we can speak in a point level. More than 20 years, I worked as a journalist, and almost 5 years complete as a information commissioner. So I'm going to talk about power of the information. Information is power. Who is holding this? Most of the male are holding the power. If you are able to ask the information, you can be powerful. If you are not asking, then you are powerless. So no need to mention again about the importance of the information. Yesterday we talked about nutrition. Do you think that most of the women are able to know about what is the nutrition, how to have it? Most of the Nepalese women are living in the remote areas. They don't know about nutrition. And the business person are selling the noodles. They are having that noodles, and they are not having their green leaves and other things they have in front of their home. So they have to know first what is the nutrition. As we discuss about wages, they are not getting proper wage. What does it mean? How to get it? Who we are? They don't know about it. We have to tell to them, you are the person who have right to know about your wages, your work, everything. If you ask the woman in Nepal, in the remote areas, what you are doing? She said, I'm doing nothing. What about your husband? She's going to work in the office. The lady who is working 18 hours per a day, she said nothing. And the man who is working 8 hours a day, she said that he is working in the office. She doesn't know about her work. So the power is to know about the information. Not only the information, access the information. And again, enabling environment to get the right information in the right time. Ms. Chandani Joshi, she's supposed to be here. But lacking of the information, she's not here. You know what happened? She has her oxygen cylinder, and the airlines people said that it is not allowed to carry with you. I wish the workers, they doesn't know about the rule and regulation. Might be some rule is there. She has her own papers from the doctor, certified it, but she doesn't tell to them that the proper way that why she is carrying, and those people, the men who are working in the airlines, they don't know about the rules and the regulations properly. The gap of information, she is not here. And I'm telling you the power of information. So that's final, I guess. As Ms. Ila Sharma mentioned that 41% women are in local government in Nepal. You know what is the pity? Most of them doesn't know about their responsibility. Why they are there? What they have to do? Rule is there, laws is there, everything is there in the paper. Most of them doesn't know about their rule and regulation, the responsibility. And I heard that few husbands are interrupting to them that you have to do that, you don't have to do that. So we have to tell to them that what to do. This is the information. In the South Asian region, we have this law, right to know, right to information, access to information. We have to spread to them. Most of us are known about our duty, and we are saying I. We have to start we. I'm gratefully thankful to Ms. Sikri, who is inviting us in the same forum and discussing so many issues. We have to make forward the one path to walk together, and to reach the destination. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Yashoda ji. That was very interesting, and the Information Commission is indeed all-powerful. And I would also like to welcome Yaqub Espai Qureshi in the midst of this wonderful gathering, where he's come to spend so much time. He's my very, very distinguished batchmate, and also has been the Chief Election Commissioner of our country. So now we've come to the end of, I think, are there any questions? I think we've had such a detailed exchange here that I think there would not be many questions. I know that some, so because we are going to go into a quick lunch and then do the parliamentarians roundtable, and then also keep 1 hour for our in-house exchange of views on the way ahead. So may I just very quickly ask, I want to say something because I want to add before I conclude. Dr. Ratan Kumar Roy is here. Ratan, do you want to add anything?
I think I can individually also talk. Let's
okay.
skip it. Yeah, exactly.
What's that?
Actually, the presentations are much more updated than the status
yes,
which
yes,
we have
yes.
brought here.
No, that was yes, absolutely right,
So
absolutely right. Absolutely, even my colleague from Afghanistan, he'd been wanting to say a few words, and I agree that what we have got here and what he said, maybe he left out some portions, but I agree that Dr. Ratan Kumar is going to be in active touch. You have heard.
And I just want to make a small request that I am going to actually bother in this coming weeks to each and every team representative from all the countries, because there are some style guide also we need to provide. Otherwise, the problem which are happening, which Dr. Anand also said, that there are serious style problem, and if it comes like that, we want something different to produce. It shouldn't be like simple status which are already there. And from yesterday, what we are following, that we already know the status. Yeah. Now we need to really find out something distinctive. Yeah. So I am also going to work on it to make something. What is the commonalities and differences on South Asia? Because the religious, ethnic, and other differences which all the countries would have, and even the rural-urban divide, which should come also in our report. So I am going to get in touch with each and every team, and let's bring it out as a
that is report. That very, very good, because as Kesang said, this is a unique effort, and we have to make sure that in this unique effort we do not falter in facts or in giving as much detail as we can. And really, after this discussion and Dr. Roy's separate discussions with many teams and the discussion here, we will carry it forward in a very, very specific way. So I think we don't have any more questions. Yes, please. Yes, please. Excellency, yes.
Just to add few comments of what we have been talking.
Yes.
We all believe that the media is a very powerful tool, and social media and the whole media, and especially in a democratic process and the democratic change, media plays a very vital role. We all agree on that. And we have also witnessed that the role of media has played, access injustice to so many people, and it has served for the betterment of the victims, and it had actually done magic, especially the active participation in the social media within, especially in all our countries. And I think Maldives is a country whereby our social media engagements are very high. It has influenced like everyday operations of the governments and policies of the governments as well. However, I just wanted to point from the side of me, like as a cabinet minister, a subject of the matter in the media almost every day. Like we always witness that we make statements, or we do things that for the best interest and the benefit for the people, and we also, like few people like us probably talk in the same language like you all speak in the media, but we do see this is being twisted on the best interest of the other side of the players. And this is probably part and parcel of the game. However, I would just want to voice this over here because we are all movers and shakers here. And as true change makers, I think during these circumstances, that is where we all need to get up. And we all need to re-insist our rightful voice there. Doesn't matter who talk about it. At the end of the day, it's us who bring in the policies. At the end of the day, it's us who make the policies and we make the decisions. And if the decisions and the things, the policies that we are driving for is according to your will and wishes, then we all have to stand together. Doesn't matter whether it's a politician, it's a social media activist, or it's a, whoever it is, civil society, etc. and etc. But we are all working for true changes, and if that is the real spirit that we have, we should see this in all circumstances. So I just wanted to make that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency. I really appreciate what you said. It's very, very important because if you're interested in gender in media, we have to work together. So one is for the media to cover more and more of the women politicians, but not to twist their remarks, not to create the problem, rather than support the issue of women in politics who must be there in larger numbers to make the difference to society. Thank you. It is a very important point, and I certainly think in our research we would be looking at that very actively. I think with this we can conclude our session. Would you like to say a few words? Shall we leave it for the next stage, Basir? I covered it. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think we can all go for a quick lunch. And it will certainly come in. Anything you want to say will come in. I think Dr. Roy will be in touch with you. So now we go ahead and have lunch, quick lunch, come back by 2. Let's plan to start by 2 if we can, and or latest 2:15, and then finish to give 1 hour for our internal discussions. Thank you very much indeed. I thank all the panelists. I'd like to thank, we have a wonderful team of rapporteurs from Jamia Millia Islamia Center for Culture, Media and Governance. I thank them for being with us all the time. Thank you. Thank you.
Once again, you use for tonight's dinner at quality.
Okay.
एक बार फिर बोल दीजिए. अभी अनाउंस कर देंगे तो वैसे हमने सबसे लिखवा लिया है. नहीं अभी तो जब भी बाहर आएंगे तो ये फाइनल कर देंगे.
Arrange it at one time so that shopping, yeah. So 9 o'clock. I think let's keep 9 o'clock. Let's keep exact 9 o'clock. We can go there together as a group and meet there at 9 o'clock. So we go as a group. So come back here because it's walking distance from here and we can all go together. Yeah, 9 o'clock. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, dear friends. I think everybody's had their lunch. We are now going to move into the valedictory session. And I would like to call upon the distinguished members of Parliament and Her Excellency, Minister Shahzada Sharif from Maldives, to come and join us on the stage. So, so that we can start quickly and also allow for the completion, we are first going to have the South Asia Parliamentarians Roundtable, and then we will move into the second part of the valedictory, which is where we will have words from Bandana Rana, from Rokia is also speaking there briefly, and we are going to have our internal discussion on what we are going to do with SWAN. So may I invite Her Excellency Shidata Sharif, Minister of Gender and Social Services, Family and Social Services of the Government of Maldives. May I invite Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi, Member of Parliament for New Delhi. May I invite Dr. Sonal Mansingh, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. May I invite Shagufta Yasmin, Member of Parliament for Bangladesh. May I invite Salima Ahmed, Member of Parliament for Bangladesh. And may I invite Kesang Chukidorji, Member of Parliament for Bhutan. And may I invite Ms. Mariam Sama, Honorable Member of Parliament for Afghanistan. Come. Come. You met the minister, right? Yeah. You met him? Yeah.
Hello.
And this is Kesang. So, Salima and Dr. Sonal Mansingh, yeah. Come. Hi, come, welcome. Come. Yes, you can give it to him. Give it. Pen drive. Can somebody please come and take this pen drive? You don't have a PowerPoint, right? You don't have a PowerPoint. No. Salima, you don't have a PowerPoint, no? Okay, now she doesn't have. डॉक्टर सोनल मान सिंह जब इनका होगा तब हम बताएंगे तब लगाना ये ले लीजिए पेन ड्राइव Okay, can we all settle down, please? Everybody come inside. Can we all settle down? Yeah, and we're going to start the session now? Yes. Okay. Thank you. So, let me just explain briefly. I am just the moderator of the session, and so I am just going to explain the structure, and then we will go ahead. First, I will ask Her Excellency Shidata Sharif, Minister from the Maldives, to say a few words. She's been very active and dynamic with us in each and every session, so I think she is very, very involved in SWAN, and we would like to hear her words on the way going ahead. Basically, the structure, the purpose of this wonderful roundtable of parliamentarians from South Asia, women parliamentarians from South Asia, is to be friends of SWAN, to be friends of the South Asia Women's Network, to realize that gender issues across South Asia are all almost identical. We've found that again and again and again when we discuss every issue, whether it is gender-based violence, whether it is health issues, environment issues, fetching water, fuel and food, and any kind of issue, education, access to healthcare, all these issues are fairly identical, striking similarity across South Asia. Can we all get together? We in the South Asia Women's Network have been trying this for 10 years, and as we saw this morning, in some areas, particularly women in media, we have got a striking success rate where we are already in the publication of the results of our research efforts in this area. We would be very honored if the South Asia women parliamentarians would guide us and suggest to us how they see going ahead, that if the South Asia women parliamentarians can work with us on gender issues and really give strong support to our very passionate feelings about overcoming the great disabilities and disservices that face the women of South Asia. So I will begin with Her Excellency Shidata Sharif, and then I will request Meenakshi ji. Meenakshi Lekhi ji is MP for New Delhi, right where we are. So she's very much a part of this constituency, and she also has to leave a little early. So I will request her to say. Would you? Sorry, yeah, no problem. Yeah, come.
Thank you again, and a very good afternoon to you all. I don't know, by coincidence, like every afternoon, the first speaker happens to be me. So, but I must congratulate the organizers once again, like sitting here throughout the last 2 days, which listening to the thoughts and views of all the participants and the panelists. I think it's very crucial and very important. And to making this happen, I think the organizers has done a wonderful job. So hats off to you.
Thank you.
And all of us, especially right now, we have a bunch of lawmakers around the table and the bench in this afternoon. We should look back and we should actually think and see from where to where we have come. Especially us, being South Asian women and South Asian countries, if we really look back for the last 2 decades, I'm sure we have done a tremendous job. So, like, I think we all should give a round of applause to all of us, to ourselves. You know, the first thing we should always admire is the work that we have done and the achievements that we have achieved. And until and unless we concentrate on that and then concentrate on the things that we have to do, then only I think we can take the path of the progress. Looking back to what we have done back home in the Maldives, we have seen lots of policies, lots of regulations, laws have been formulated, designed, and not every piece of law is a success, I must say. There has been so many paperwork done, but it sits on the paper. And we have seen lots of laws coming up without tooth, which means doesn't follow and doesn't get implemented and nothing actually happens. So I think now we have to turn our gear into a different direction and see to make sure that first of all our policies and laws, it is evidence-based and it is actually talking the reality of the ground, and the process of this lawmaking should be bottom-up. And we, lawmakers, policymakers, we need to get engaged with the people in the very grassroots. Then only we happens to make decisions over them which actually brings good changes to their life. There's no point of making policies, there's no point of making laws until and unless it actually brings changes to the very rightful people that it has to hit. So I think that's where the whole panel will be talking and touching upon the sort of laws and the change-making process that each and every country of us we will be experiencing and going through. We do understand that we have similar problems, but we also should understand that we have our own uniqueness as well. So we have to address those uniqueness. At the same time, we have to understand the fact that there's so much that we could learn from each other, and there's so much resources and knowledge that we could exchange from one country to another, and we are always very open for that. In our country, we have enacted a Domestic Violence Act in which there has been procedures, mechanisms which has come up to prevent domestic violence as well as to act upon the situations of domestic violence. We have materialized enacting a Sexual Harassment Act, which is also very much crucial to the everyday life of especially women. And we also have Gender Equality Act enacted in 2016. So I think we have made a lot of progress, and that's exactly the reason why I said let's look back and see how far we have come. And then we definitely have made lots of progresses, and of course we have a long way to go as well, but we're together as South Asian women and South Asian countries. We're together, and we will make progress together. Thank you very much for the opportunity once again.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I think you're absolutely right that not only we look at the achievements of the past, but we work in a bottoms-up way, from the grassroots, looking at what they need. Because actually, as we have seen across South Asia, we have had a lot of good luck and good hard work by our leaders in this region. We have been blessed with presidents and prime ministers, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. So we've had leaders and cabinet ministers, but what we have seen in our work of the last 10 years of the South Asia Women's Network, at the grassroots level, there's still a huge amount of problems. So your suggestion to look at their needs and formulate laws which take into account their requirements is very, very valuable, and I thank you for that. So may I now request Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi, Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha from New Delhi, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Veena ji, His Excellency Ms. Siddhartha Sharif, Sonal Mansingh ji, Shagufta Yasmin ji, Mariam ji, Ms. Kesang, and Selima. My friends in the audience, I wish I had a little more time because I had kept this 1 or 2 hours to be here. I'm meeting all my old friends who for some stupid reason I have not been seeing for a very long time, so I really, really wanted to spend a little more time. But recently, I must say, taking the leaf from where Ms. Sharif has left, that yes, times have changed, and yes, we are all there. If we compare, say, 25 years ago, 50 years ago, and in our own lifetimes, the changes are there for all of us to see. Changes are there because in my own country, I remember fighting for gender equality as a young woman, and then working with people like Meera Shiva and others, reproductive rights, so on and so forth, discussing these things. And I feel today times have really changed. But then when you really go in depth study and you feel that have the times really changed? Has it really made the kind of movement and change we all wanted? It has changed, but it has changed not because women wanted it to change, but I feel personally because it suited generally the economic worth of women was being recognized. So it was kind of, let's take it in a stride because it suits everyone. But irrespective of things, yes, times have changed. If we review in my own country, I remember we didn't have sexual harassment at workplace. And for that law, I was one of the initial ones to get into the drafting committees and worked on drafting of that law. At that point in time, in the absence of law, Supreme Court had to pass an order. And in that judgment, they truly made the law. They basically set out what a sexual harassment is, how it is to be conducted, what kind of disciplinary proceedings are possible, how the work will be taken thereon, what kind of committees will be constituted. Virtually, they wrote the law. I mean, and for some vague reason, for many, many years, whatever was written by the Supreme Court should have been acted upon immediately, wasn't acted upon immediately in terms of framing a law. But subsequently it did get framed, certain changes happened. When it comes to laws relating to women and children, and especially sexual offenses against women, we had I remember I did one case many, many years ago, 2000, 2002. So a girl's eye, a young nurse's eye had been gouged out. And that was a horrid case. I fought that case for 8 years, from trial court to the Supreme Court. And every time I would ask that give that gentleman, not the gentleman, but that accused, death penalty. And the judge will just look at me and say, Miss, where is the law? Under which provision you're talking about? So I'll normally extend the logic of murder. And I'll say if murder has death penalty, then attempt to murder, because attempt to do anything is also an offense and attracts the same kind of penalty. So attempt to murder should be read into this law, and she has survived not because of the grace of the accused, but because of the grace of the God. And that benefit cannot accrue to the accused. He should be punished by treating it as an attempt to murder. But irrespective of these arguments and extensions of this logic, the matter was rejected. And subsequently, we got another case which was as horrid. And that somehow changed the mindset of lawmakers. And we all got together and changed the law and brought death penalty in the aggravated circumstances. Unfortunately, I don't know whether it's the same in your country, but we sometimes have some women who are human rights workers, but they somehow tend to forget the human rights of women and they say no death penalty. I personally don't agree to that concept that accused be let off and be a problem for all the women subsequently. But I'm happy and satisfied that country came together and changed the law. But personally, it was a moment of some kind of satisfaction that in my lifetime I saw the change. And I saw this happening because I saw the change when the first case happened. I saw how media started covering with greater sensitivity, with greater support for the victim. Earlier, that was lacking. And from there, we moved on to seeing the death penalty added in aggravated circumstances as a punishment, which was non-existent. We saw the change in laws relating to young children being violated, POCSO, and we saw that, and very severe penalties have been awarded, and many people have been given that kind of punishment. We've seen expedition of trial. We've seen how child witnesses are to be protected. So changes have happened. I would be wrong if I say no change has happened. This change has happened in my lifetime, from the time when I genuinely started thinking and subsequently to the person I have become. But there are gaps, and I feel the gaps are in terms of execution of processes. Gaps are in terms of financial security of women. Gaps are in general acceptance of women, definitely is far, far, far greater. But somehow the pyramidal ladder is so steep that many a times many women slip to the bottom. And those things need to be acted upon. So it's not just the laws. Today I can say my laws in the sense my country's laws, are very, very women friendly. And I remember having a conversation with somebody from Europe, and they were trying to put us down when the sexual offenses were being discussed. So they said in Delhi, especially because I represent Delhi, is the capital, is the rape capital and things. And I said, you are wrong because you're not touching the data, you're not reading the data right. We are not the capital. On the contrary, it's New York which is the capital. I went to Bahrain and similar kind of discussion happened, and I said, check your own data. So this is kind of misrepresentation which is happening. Not that we should be competing on bad terms. We should not be competing. Even if there's one case that is bad enough and we all must get together to get justice for that woman. But irrespective of that, when targeted methodologies are adopted to tarnish certain countries for the crimes which have been committed and which are one of such crimes, I mean, we are 130 million people. A few things go wrong in that number of people, but overall the scenario has changed. Maternity benefits have increased. We are the only country which gives 26 weeks of leave to the women during pregnancy. We give the maternal benefits, and Matrutva Seva, which is 6,000 rupees will be given to a pregnant lady. The gender budgeting has somehow happened, and I remember fighting for all those things which are happening right in front of me. I used to say, let's get how much money has been spent on women. And I remember 2000, I was in finance minister's office and fighting with him rather on top of my voice. And then I would just brush it aside. But today you have schemes where if government welfare scheme, you're getting a house, the house will be given in woman's name, not in the man's name. If you have a gas connection, it'll be given in the woman's name, not in man's name. If you have scheme where loans are being given, it'll be given to women group, and 75% of Mudra Yojana loans have gone to women. So every governance aspect is today becoming women-centric, and which is such a satisfying moment, because you're watching the change happen in front of your eyes. And whether it's agriculture or it's space, I remember having a conversation many, many years ago, not that I'm the last one to judge anyone on their dressing sense. I won't do that. But one lady I still remember was a journalist, a young girl who, from one of the fancy papers, walked up to me and she said, "What is empowerment for you?" I say, empowerment for me is women my age, dressed the way they are, and having the ability to make their own decisions. And that is empowerment. He said, no, but somebody made some comment about jeans and t-shirt. I said, I give a damn to those statements, but not that every woman who's jeans and t-shirt clad is empowered. That is the statement I would like to make. Because empowerment also means having the autonomy over yourself, not being subjected to psychological violence also is as much part of the whole thing. And I said, when I see these scientists, and that time we had done Mars mission, and before that I think Chandrayaan-1 had happened. So I said, when I see these ladies in the space center with veiny in their hair, my size, my girth, wearing nice saris, and working on missile programs, I think that is empowerment for me. And those are the women who I look up to, and I say that is the sense of empowerment, because the sense of empowerment has to be balanced with the cultural norms, with the societal norms, women having the ability and concern to do what they want to do. And those changes are the changes which we are all looking forward to. And with these words, I leave you all, because there is actually a parliamentary delegation which is in the city. I was committed to be there, and I was committed to be here. And the timing somehow clashed, so I need to leave. Last comment I want to make, because that's something which I thought when I was sitting there, and when Ms. Sharifa was speaking, and that was that I recently wrote a fiction, and that fiction is called New Delhi Conspiracy. And I think there's some shortage of the books. The first one has gone off the racks. But when I was researching, I found, which I didn't know, that 1823 and 1897, between this period, George Eliot, all of us have read George Eliot, but nobody knows that the George Eliot was actually Mary Evans. None of us knew that. And she had to write as a man. And that was my comment. I say, look, I stand here. I have a co-writer who's a male who works as my PA. We both worked together, and we were both working at night. And the times definitely have changed. That I can have an assistant, a man assistant, a male assistant, and my name is what will sell. So times have changed, and people are accepting that change. Otherwise, women have to adopt a male identity, even to do something as pious as writing. This is how the times have changed. With these words, thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Meenakshi Lekhi ji. Yeah, that's really the points you made. I think particularly your contribution in the legal sector to making the path-breaking laws that have taken... This is the new book that Meenakshi ji has just released, not even a week ago, I think. 3 days ago, yeah, that's right. So I think that we will, you know that Meenakshi ji is an eminent lawyer, most eminent and distinguished lawyer, and also now, of course, Honorable Member of Parliament in her second term. And her contribution to the laws to protect women's rights on POXCO and on gender-based violence have been quite seminal. And so I think we will be coming to you for your help on all the laws that we want to have for women in media particularly, and women writing about media, and what is written about women in the media, you know, advertising sector and owners and editors. So I think your contribution to help us in that will be very valuable. Do you want to leave now? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Okay, may I now request Honorable Ms. Mariam Sama from Afghanistan to say a few words.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. And first of all, I want to thank you, Vinayji, and also Zulaikhaji, and all of you for this opportunity. And I want to say, if my English is not very well, so apologize me and sorry about this. And I know you're kind and forgive me about this. I'm Mariam Sama, Member of Parliament of Afghanistan. And I graduate from management and also will graduate this year from political science too. And I want to say more about myself because this is the first time I'm in SWAN program. And I have something to say about my country, about myself, that I think it's important to you know that. Because we all live very near, close, and our problems, I think it's very near and close too. You know, my journey and story start from media when I was 11 years old. And before that, I was an immigrant, like maybe millions of Afghans that they were immigrants and they are immigrants. But after when I was 11, I come back to my country, to Herat province, and start work with education also, because in my country you have to study and also work too, because of our situation. And yes, I start from media, different media, in television, in radio, and also newspaper. And you know, media made my life. Everything I have until now, it's from media. Because by media, you can know better and understand better your society, your people. Especially in my country, when I back to my country, I know that I have to fight better maybe more than my last generation or my before generation. And all the young in my country are the only hope of my country. We have just this. And this background make me more responsible to make my country. And you know, when I work in media, and I was a news presenter and also discussion, political discussion too, ran that too, and I feel every day and every moment the pain. And when you see that and you are related country that is very poor and also that's in war, and I know you know generally about Afghanistan, when you hear about Afghanistan, name of Afghanistan, of course you I'm sorry, you think about war, you think about violence, and that's true. We have that, and it's very painful. And that's why I decided to run for parliament and candidate for the parliament. And you know, my candidatory has a different story too, because I'm not very rich, and in my country, when you want to run for election, you have to be rich. You have to have relationship, political relationship to be a member of parliament. But I wanted that time to prove this without money, but with program and with something that changed the situation of Afghanistan, and with people, trust the people, you can be member of parliament. And now I'm member of parliament, but in a very bad situation, in a very sensitive situation. 1 year ago, I candidated, and now I'm a member of parliament, but I know all of you know about deal of America and Taliban. And I think all of us, because of humanity, we must not be silent. I request and I want of all of you, don't be silent, please. You can talk, you can write in media with your people, if it's possible with your government. Don't be silent, because it has influence of my country, yeah, of my people, but it has influence of your country too, because we are live very close together. And because of humanity, I think, we must not be silent. And I want to say, me, my colleagues, my friends from Afghanistan, they're sit here. They're very concerned these days because about that deal that I said. So I wanted that you too consider this and don't be silent about this. And at the end of, again, I want to thank you, all of you, for your time. And want to say, before our country, before our language, all of us are human. And we can know each other, we can help to each other. And sorry for just few seconds, I want to ignore men, and I want to say, before all of this, we are women. And we know our problems. It's very close. And just we can solve the problems that we have and make a world better place to live. And I believe women, especially women that they work or they are politicians, if they get more power, they can change the world and they can change the bad face of politics. Thank you.